Rotarians, distinguished guests, and past President Rodolphe Belchi, Chair of the Admin Committee of the Rotary Club Beirut Series. I would like to welcome you to this webinar organized by the Rotary Club Beirut Series. And before we start our session, please stand up for the Lebanese anthem. Thank you very much. Before starting presenting the upcoming event, I would like to welcome President Samir's team, President of the Rotary Club Alay, welcome. And I would like to welcome Mrs. Michelle Watch, welcome. As for the event, the upcoming event of November 5, we have mixed distribution with Her Excellency Canadian Ambassador Chantal Chasmin. On November 10, we have His Excellency the British Ambassador to Lebanon, Dr. E.5, who will be talking about the United Kingdom help to the army and the Lebanese community in the last decade. As for November 17, we have Mr. Iyad Bustani, who will be talking about federalism. As for November 20, we will be having planting tree ceremony with Juzur Lubnan in Pardabian site near track 1. Between December 6 and December 10, we have a trip to Egypt. On December 15, we have the annual Christmas visit to Orphanage and Old Folks Home in Mansouriye. And finally, on December 18, we have the annual Christmas dinner hosted by President Jerome Farah. Who is better than our president to talk about Rotary and about what our club do? Please, President Jerome.
Thank you, Rodolphe. Rotary is an organization of 1.2 million persons started in 1905. So we're 150 years old. It deals with helping the communities all over the world, in 200 countries. Our club is now 11 years old and is doing marvelous projects. Last year we did projects in the 7 areas focus for $3 million. Lastly, we have had several inaugurations of projects in the education field. We have helped several schools, the Mechitaris, the Tekeya School, the Sagesse, the Immaculée Conception. Last week we went to Souchouer, to the maybe only public school open, public secondary school open while all the schools are closed. And we distributed to 430 students school materials thanks to the Rotaract members of our new Rotaract club. We are continuing. We are proceeding. We have opened also a public library for the sum of $400,000 in Eri, in Nabu Museum. We will be opening shortly another public library in Zgharta, Zawiya, and we will be opening one in Akkar, the village of Awainet. In the next month, we will receive the shipment of another 40,000 books for the village of Ahli, the Shuk. So we're extending our help in education to all villages and towns in without distinction. The topic of tonight goes very well with the education that we're helping. The mission education is the topic of three ladies that will speak and explain how they will manage it and how we can help. Thank you, Rada.
Thank you very much, Ronnie. Before introducing our speakers, I would like to inform you that you will have the possibility at the end of their presentation to ask your questions, and they will be very happy to answer them. So for our friends, our guests who are online, they can write it in the chat or in the Q&A, and I will read them at the end of their presentation. Without further ado, I will present our speakers. This is Christiane Hajjar, image and lifestyle coach. Christiane created the Imagine concept in 2004, first image consulting company in Lebanon and the Middle East. She has been involved in education and child assistant with the APEL Association. She is an ESA graduate. As for Mrs. Ghada Maamari, she specialized in the oil and gas sector, finance and logistics. Active in Iraq, Lebanon, and France, she has a BA in industrial economy and master's in international business management and global. As for Ms. Sarah Chalabi, she is the founder and manager of Gongola Publishing, patron of the arts and supporter of local producers. She has been active in the education sector for the past 20 years. Sarah has learned journalism at IPJ in Paris. I will mention two quotes before their presentation. The first one is from Aristotle, and he said, "The roots of education are bitter, but the fruit is sweet." The second quote is coming from Benjamin Franklin, and he said, "An investment in knowledge pays the best interest." Ladies, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Rodolphe. And I would like to thank the Rotary Club of Beirut Cedars for giving us this platform to present our association. And I would also like to thank our board members, Diane Sawaya, Hala Hanna, Michelle Smeha, and Rana Shimadi, because without their generosity, collaboration, and dedication, we wouldn't have made it that far. I wanted to talk about who we were. We are a group of Lebanese professionals living in Lebanon and abroad, US, Spain, France, the Gulf. We are extremely concerned by the weakening of the sector of education. This is one of the cornerstones of our economy. And in every household, parents tell their children, study, study, study. We all heard it, we all said it, and we wish our children will say it, because education is the only hope for a better future. We are a non-profit, non-sectarian and non-political organization founded in 2020 after the Beirut blast. We support education as a fundamental value of the Lebanese society, because each student who has the tool of education, his diplomas in hand, and his knowledge will be able to fly off with dignity and creative sparkles to shine wherever he goes. And so I would like to give the floor to Christiane to present our association.
So, how we started? Actually, when we realized how privileged we are, having the time, the energy, and the will to make a difference, we just couldn't sit still and watch the country collapse, doing nothing. It all started after the Black 4th of August 2020. Ghada, my dear friend, was contacted by the president of our school alumni in Paris. Worried, she asked how she could help. Education is threatened in Lebanon, we all know it. So supporting education is critical for this alumni, and we had a common goal together. It's not only a priority, I would say it's an emergency. We gathered and we started to plan our strategy to make a difference, because it's all about acting now and acting for a change. We are collecting donations from our alumni groups abroad, in France and other countries. We started with the Institut La Tour, which was our school in Paris, and intend to extend our connection to other schools, alumni, and networks. We went on the ground visiting schools, and we were shocked and devastated by the reality striking at us. Traditionally, the students are 68% of the students are educated in the private sector and 32% in the public. Private schools have always been acclaimed by parents for the quality of their education, the level within the public system having deteriorated since the Civil War till date. Because public schools cannot sustain all students, and lack of support from the government that has been failing for the past 6 years. What's our strategy? Our strategy is based on 4 points: fundraising, mapping, monitoring, and keeping a lean and cost-efficient structure. We are a team that goes on the ground. We go and see schools, we check their needs, we check their figures, and this is how we proceed. So as Sarah mentioned earlier, we are a group of ladies, just by coincidence, and we are very active in Lebanon. We are 4 on the ground in Lebanon, and 2 of our members are abroad in Spain and in the US. So what's our target? We aim to support and save small schools of around 300 students out of Beirut with little or no help at all. Tuitions are between $1 million and $4 million Lebanese pounds. And parents are not able to pay these amounts per year. So they end up either taking their children out of school or transfer them to public schools. Because such is the disastrous economic and social situation, parents end up giving the priority to feeding their children rather than giving them an education. Our priority, so I leave the floor for Ghada, because she's the expert in figures.
Right. She makes numbers.
Yes, I do.
Thank you, Christiane. So, we were very lucky. The French embassy recently published a study conducted by a European consultant that covers. Excuse me. That covers 275,000 students attending Francophone. What this study shows is that school expenses have plummeted due to the inflation. Indicators reflect the brutal impoverishment of the country and of the population. It shows that the poverty line has increased from 25% to 55%. So people under the poverty line have doubled in 2 years. unemployment has raised from 11% to 40%, almost quadrupling in these 4 years. And there was a massive decrease in the gross domestic product per capita of 66%, which is Lebanon, as people don't know, is a typical country regarding education. The private sector is almost the public sector in our country because it enrolls 68% of the students in only 57% of schools. Thus, the importance of supporting the sector. So this charter shows the typical school budget, if you're not familiar with it. The typical school budget splits the cost between salaries, 70%, and other expenses, which are 30%. Although the devaluation of the Lebanese pound has tremendously increased the value of the expenses today, still today, the presence of teachers in school remains as the most important asset for the school to function. Their position needs to be preserved, their salaries need to be paid, because nothing can replace a teacher in school. This year, almost all Francophone schools will have a significant deficit due to the economic crisis, the default of payments that in Francophone schools is 20%, and an increase in the value of expenses that they had expected to be 10%, but the sudden increase for the last year has made the amount even go higher. So according to their calculation, the real loss in the sector will be between 38 and 53 million euros for the Francophone schools. So this is based only on the 275,000 students. So this calculation shows that there's a deficit of 140 euro and 190 euro per student. Based on this study, we can extrapolate the losses of the entire education sector, which will take us to 140 million euros and 190 million euros if you extrapolate it to the million students you have. How we operate? We receive donations and we split them into bundles of $25,000. Each bundle is distributed to one school. Donations will be distributed on a pro rata basis. And it is very, very important to work closely with the school administration and the director during the whole process. Just to give you an idea of the donations, when we received this, the donation of $22,500, depending on the amount of the tuition in the school, we can either help 500 students or 250 students. So it's a question of that. Our implementation schedule. The calendar we have is applicable to all schools we support. The donations are collected throughout the duration of the project and distributed to schools on a quarterly basis, because you never know if a parent takes his child out of the school. So in order to optimize the distribution of funds, we'd rather pay on a quarterly basis. And we keep on checking if the children are here and the children stay. We have referenced today 25 schools and 10,000 students, but we will target one school at a time and one student. Christiane, back to you. No more figures?
Thank you. So as Ghada was mentioning earlier, you know that the tuition covers several aspects of the education: training, school supplies, transportation, security, administration, infrastructure, and teacher salaries. What we are facing today is that students not being able to pay their tuitions, schools are not able to pay teacher salaries. So teachers are not coming to school. And what we aim for in Mission Education is to pay students' tuitions in order to exclusively and in priority cover the teachers' salaries. So children go to school and teachers stay there, because without teachers, we just cannot teach our children. So just for you to know that teachers have been paid half their salary in Lebanese pounds, an average of 800,000 Lebanese pounds, which today makes $38, with 6 months delay. So, I mean, no need to explain the situation of teachers and what they're going through. So we are focusing to make sure that the financial support goes directly to the tuitions and that will be used in priority to the salaries of the teachers. And this is one of the main reasons we have started Mission Education. So what have we achieved so far? We have disbursed over 130 million Lebanese pounds, covering the tuitions of 100 students, and these tuitions were exclusively allocated to teachers' salaries. How to stay still and let this go on? Seeing the pain and injustice getting the education to the lowest level possible, children deprived from their main rights, and schools shutting down. We are fiercely committed to fight and make a difference. So this makes our vision, mission, and our objectives. And we believe that united with determined, humane people like you, we can make a difference, and we will. So you might ask us why support Mission Education or Mission Education. Of course, the needs in education are enormous. No matter what we say, there are always a lot of problems and a lot of lacks in education. And today, with the situation we're facing, things are going deeper and deeper. And no matter how many NGOs you might say are helping education, and today we can see that so many organizations and so many NGOs are targeting education, but it will never be enough. It's a long-run battle to fight, and we will hang on no matter what. This is why a lot of us are staying in the country. We refuse to leave because we know that we have a battle, and we will fight for it no matter what. So when you educate a child, you know that he has a sustainable future. I mean, no matter how many, books, libraries, kitchens, playgrounds we invest in, if the children don't come to school and the teachers don't teach them, then what for? So we know that we have more than 800,000 students in need of help today, and every penny counts. And we care so much about this cause. I'm sure you too. I know it's one of the pillars of Rotary. Education is our actually cheval de bataille today, and we will make it happen. Voilà. Thank you for being here. Thank you for giving us the honor to present Mission Education. And we are open for your questions. Thank you.
Thank you, ladies, for this wonderful and challenging mission. Really, what you are doing is great, and we wish you all the best. It will not be easy, but I'm sure that you will.
We don't like easy.
Good. So now the floor is open for the Q&A session. For the Zoom viewer, they can start asking their question in the Q&A place. And for the people and the Rotarians who are present here, we'll ask you at the second stage also to ask your question. I will ask with the first question, if you don't mind. What is the outcome of children where the parents can't afford to pay the scholarship fee?
Unfortunately, when parents cannot pay for the tuitions, they switch their children to the public sector. This is what parents did last year. What what happened is that the public sector did not open schools, did not have online classes. So this year, they either switched them back to the private or semi-private public sector when they couldn't, or they simply did not put them back.
So we find sometimes some parents who do not put their children back to school.
They cannot afford it.
There is another question. How many children have migrated from the private school to public school?
What we know after discussing the subject with professionals of the sector, we were told that in 2019 the migration started. 20,000 children were migrated to the public sector. In 2020, this number went up to 55,000 children. Now, regarding this year, we don't have the figures. And what they are saying is that it's either going to increase because parents are going to take their children out of school, but it will not decrease. It can only increase, unfortunately.
Vice President Sidi Biskaf, if you can move forward in order for our viewers to listen, to hear your thoughts.
Listen to
hear.
I have to go. No, Christiane? No. Well, thank you, Christiane and Mrs. Sarah, for this nice presentation. We are in Lebanon, and there is a lot of talking about donations coming to the country. They don't reach what we want them to reach. Now you said that the money will go to the tuitions of the children in the school. But this money is to be used for the teachers' salaries. Now, you're not going to pay the teachers, you're going to pay the school. How do you make sure that this money will go to the teachers?
Very interesting question. Let me answer you.
Okay.
So, what we do is we meet with the school administration, the director of the school, and the accountant of the school. We sit with them, we give them the budget, and we tell them, I'm going to give you 100 million Lebanese pounds. I need this Excel sheet to be filled. So we request a detailed list with the name of the children, the phone numbers, the name of the parents, if they are children of professors in the school, if they have siblings in the school, and the amount of their tuition. So we can do due diligence on these children. The situation today is very tough for school directors because the schools we aim are schools that have miserable people working at them. Schools that have tuitions between $1 million and 4 million Lebanese pounds are either semi-private schools or very, very low income. So today, everyone needs that. The director of the school usually does his own due diligence and has asks the parents if what is their income. Some parents come back and tell him, now I have a job, I don't need that. Once they fill in the list of children, then they have to fill the list of professors. We ask them for the names, numbers of professors, if they are full-time professors or if they are part-time professors, and how much is their salary. And what we request from them is that the balance sheet of the tuition matches the balance sheet of the salaries.
You're going to the balance sheet of the school.
We want to be sure that the money that goes in goes out. We make them sign a moral charter that says that if we know that the salaries were not paid to the professors, we will
try to help them again.
No, we will take the money back.
Ah,
They
so-
sign on it.
If you can.
Of course you can.
This is
But
another
if
problem.
If they sign it, they're not afraid of it.
Yeah.
Someone that is not someone that you do research on the school before you choose the school. You do research.
You know who you're talking
You go on the ground and you know who you're talking to. They have references. We're a small organization, so we're not aiming thousands of schools. And this is why we're taking it one step at a time and going to a small and very human due diligence process. And maybe I'm naive, but you feel on someone's mind.
No.
We had the experience, and we went to a school, and the director herself realized that she did not need our help, and she did not answer us. But we knew that she was already helped by someone else, and understood why. Because we also cooperate with organizations that work in education and that help schools. So we checked with them which schools are not receiving help. So we double check that information.
Thank you very
I
much.
hope I answered your question. Thank you.
Thank you, Vice President Steve. We'll go to our next question, President-elect Maamari. Please.
We have to do this one. I think most of us know that the public schools in Lebanon, they do help the Syrian children. They come in the afternoon and they provide education. Did this have an impact on the school expenses for the public sector?
Actually, we don't have public schools. Public schools is a very complicated process.
Oh, no, you're saying a lot of students are going to the public school.
What we heard about the public schools, some public schools refuse to receive the Syrian children.
Okay.
And the public schools that do receive them with a condition, which is the help given to the Syrian children also has to be given to the Lebanese children. That they're being very tough on the conditions. I think it's of course I can control. But if you're interested in the project, you can ask an expert in the future.
No, it's okay. I didn't want to know if it had an impact. The students in the private schools are migrating to the public schools.
Oh, okay, I understand.
And the public schools are doing a double job.
The Syrian
students
are not going to school in the morning. They go to school in the afternoon.
Right.
They don't receive them with the Lebanese children.
But doesn't this have an impact on the public schools' expense as well?
No, because they're covered. They're covered by NGOs that help Syrian students.
Aren't they covered by the
Public
UN? Aren't they covered by the UNESCO?
Please,
The UN
we'd like to ask if
policies
you can move forward in order for us
Yes.
to hear your question, please.
Yes, of
Rotating
course,
zone.
we're not at all experts in this domain.
I have a small answer on the.
Can you please move forward the past president just for this?
Ramzi, come closer, man.
No, actually, thanks. I know this is not the purpose, maybe, but we diverted a bit, but just because I had a small idea on what the answer can be to this question, since I'm right now involved with the World Food Program, actually providing food assistance to the public schools in Lebanon. Now, initially, when they started the UN agency, the primary purpose was the refugees. So they choose actually the schools who had, as you said, programs in the afternoon. And then, since the Lebanese became facing bigger problems than the refugees, so they extended that to those who are in the morning. So now they are giving in the morning to the Lebanese students assistance, and in the afternoon to the mostly the Syrian refugees. Now the problem is that some of the principals at the school, it's very politicized. They're saying we don't want to give to those in the afternoon. In that case, the Ministry of Education is coming and saying, you know what, we're going to choose a different principal for the afternoon. This is some of the problems they're facing. Some want to try to stop completely the program in the afternoon, but they don't understand that I had the principal saying, I don't want to receive, I want to give only in the morning, but it's not her choice. Then the whole program will stop for the school. So, because the Lebanese started getting help as a supplement to the initial help which was coming to the refugee, and now the Lebanese are more needy. So I don't know if partially answers your question.
Excellent. Thank you for the clarification.
Thank you.
President Samir Slim, I think you have a question, please.
No, I just wanted to clarify one thing, that Syrian students cannot enter the public schools if they are not registered with the S.3. So they have to make sure that they are covered. So that's why they are at these schools. So if someone is not registered, they cannot enter. So that's why for them it's easier. Even with if you go to hospital, for example, if a woman wants to deliver, she's also covered with $400, I think, from Syrians, while the Lebanese, they will be struggling to do so. My question regarding the transportation fees now, they are being increased for everyone in the country. It is, I think, it became around 1,800,000 Lebanese. And it's much more than the 800,000 for the salary. So, will this be also covered with your assistance, or help, or it's something different?
Actually, this is why we are choosing schools, small schools, outside Beirut, and we look to we ask where do the children, the students live, and the teachers. So normally the students and the teachers should be really close to the school, so they don't have to worry about the transportation matter. So they either walk to school or have really short distances, because we faced this problem with a school that we helped. The tuition was £1 million Lebanese pounds per year, and they didn't have buses or transportations for the school, but they were working with some company who hired the buses. So we understood from the principal of the school that this year, the owners of the buses asked for £1 million Lebanese pound per month. So of course, this sounds absurd. I mean, so this is why the schools we're aiming to help are smaller schools, so up to around 300 students, and for students to be, and the teachers to live around the school.
That's good. So the money will go for education, not transportation.
Exactly. This is why we insist that, I mean, we're trying to find all the ways to really keep this money, this donation, straight to the salaries of the teachers.
Thank you. We have a question from Rotarian Jean-Marc Ataime.
Thank you for the presentation. So my question, you answered part of it. So you are choosing not public schools, private schools. So you are always choosing the school based on the need, or the school is reaching out, or based on the need of the parents, they reach out to you, and accordingly you do your investigation and study, and you decide whether you're going to have or not.
So we have two programs. The first program is an open program, which we have a donor that comes and says, I want to help these children, or I would like to have this. Of course, we do due diligence, we make sure it's not political. And then, of course, we respect the wishes of the donor. It could be, we only received two specific donations, which were to help the family, the close family of someone who wanted to do an anonymous donation, and the specific school. What we heard is some donations can be totally absurd, like helping someone from a specific family name, helping someone from gender, helping some people could say, I want to help a handicapped school. So the schools we chose, the 25 schools we chose on our database, are very, very different from all regions. Some are schools with non-seeing children, handicapped children, all regions, all religions, all genders. Our options are very, very. We don't want to help a specific cause. We want to be able to help everyone. But if the donor comes and gives his condition, for instance, I want to help a Catholic school, okay, This was the request of our alumni in Paris. We assisted them in finding because it's a Catholic school. So they wanted to help the Christians in Lebanon. We respected their request.
Thank you. Last question from past President Rami.
Thank you very much for this interesting presentation. I didn't ask you a question. So I wanted to ask to Kiki or Ghada is, I mean, your criteria of selections are clear, but I wanted to ask when it comes to the scalability of you, meaning how many are you planning to target schools nationwide? And in terms of fundraising, also thank you for giving us some numbers. For instance, that you already gave 100 million lira, but we know now that much more is needed. Like today, they are barely 5,000 euro or so. So if you want to make more of an impact, are you planning, for instance, to use crowdfunding? Are you planning to diversify? How are you targeting your donors? How can we help? Do you have a specific strategy in this context? It would be interesting to know because it's, I mean, the sky is the limit for that. Basically.
Exactly. Last time someone asked us for a budget, I told them this was 6 months ago. I told them our budget was $10 million, and they think, basically, you saw the numbers. I did not try them because they were not in the Euromina consulting study, but the numbers of the need, and this does not include the transportation because the study was done for the increase of the price of the oil and the subsidies, the end of the subsidies. So for that, the deficit was between 140 million euros and 190 million euros. All help is good. Everyone needs to help on the ground. We have a lot of NGOs that are helping today and working on this field. And for instance, when someone tells us, oh, you're doing the same thing we're doing, and we're very happy because, great, we have to be a lot. And we have to help each other. This is why we're contacted a few NGOs, we've met in connections, other NGOs working in the education field, a budget. This is why our strategy is to work in bundles of $25,000. As soon as we've collected an amount that can do an impact, then we go to a school and we ask them to start the process, because the due diligence process can be long, and we want it to be done as early as possible. So, what is our budget? Now, what is our strategy? We started with the alumni groups. We wanted to reach, because a lot of us were very lucky to study abroad. We studied in schools, we studied in foreign universities, we've done masters in other universities. So we have at least 3 alumni groups in every one of our circles. So our first strategy was to reach for the alumni groups. What we noticed is that we collected $10,000 with this alumni group, a small operation that lasted 1 week before the school started. This is great. So we're going to go on working with alumni. Our other strategy is to work with Lebanese clubs in foreign countries, contact embassies, contact anyone that wants to help. We're going to up our social media. We're going to try to communicate as much as we can, and all help is good help. And all children need our help. I hope I answered.
Thank you very much for your answer. I have not really a question, but a small comment coming from Rotarian Jean-François Parmentier, who was the former consul of Belgium in Lebanon. And he's saying, as a European diplomat, I have visited several schools during my stay in Lebanon, public and private schools in Beirut, Tripoli, and Saida. I can confirm that you can be proud of your educational system and that you should protect it. It is one of your best export products, and it contributes to the reputation of your country abroad. Bravo for your project. I will forever be grateful for what Lebanon has given to my children in terms of education. Excellent testimony. So without further ado, I will ask President Roni Farra, as well as President-elect Mike Haroun, to step forward for the certificate and the pinning ceremony. One second, Christiane. Just
1 second.
Président.
Tu es lent, alors le temps.
Par respect à monsieur.
OK.
On the right side or left side? روم ظهرك ظهرك كثير.
أطلع الصورة بس.
بس ما كثير عم تبين.
أطلع الصورة.
طب ما عم نشوفه غير شيء على التلفزيون.
Okay. Thank you.
Another question?
في individual مبين. Are you going to pin inside? Yeah, it'll do the CFM is bigger.
Well done. Mike?
C'est bon.
It's okay?
I'm taking my time, man.
Excuse me.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for this excellent presentation. We're delighted to have you. Now I will ask Past President Philippe Escaf to move forward, please, and to talk about the trees plantation project.
What do you talk about?
Fellowship about trees.
Fellowship.
Trees plantation.
From here, please.
Oh, over there again. Okay. I don't have a question.
You can.
No, we'll talk about our November fellowship. November fellowship is going to be a project of the club and at the same time our fellowship program for this month. As you know, every month we make a program of fellowship. Next month we're going to have the Nile cruise. We're going on the Nile. And for November, we're going to be planting trees. Project of the club. We're offering $3,000 to Juzur, Lebanon, to plant. The tree costs $70. This includes the planting of the tree and the maintenance of the tree for 3 consecutive years. They are in charge of it. They guarantee it. If something happens to the tree, they're going to plant another one. So this is our project, and it's going to have to take place in Fardedian, the heights of Fardedian, not the village of Fardedian, in what we by mistake call Faraya, the slopes and so on. But there is a big misunderstanding there because it doesn't belong to the municipality of Faraya, it belongs to the municipality of Fardedian. So all the slopes are Fardedian, and the plot is actually in when you reach the hotel Fareya Mzar, you take a left and you go up to the Warde ski place, and that's where Jazur Lebanon is. We're going to be welcomed there by the representative of Jazur Lebanon, who's going to give us a little briefing on what Jazur Lebanon is, and then we're going to proceed to planting the trees. For a budget of $3,000, we're going to have about 40 trees to plant. I'm going to do that ourselves.
What about lunch? Lunch.
We're still planting trees. No food.
Food first.
Well, like our friend Khalid is saying, we're going to decide whether to have a lunch after that or what. Okay. Otherwise, Khalid is going to go by himself to our lunch. Okay. I'll brief you, of course, as I want more news. But please, I would like you to confirm your presence as soon as possible to Anadi so that we can organize the trip. See if you have to take a bus or take individual cars and so on. Okay?
We can go by bus altogether?
Of course, but we are enough. Yeah? Of course, you're the first to go. Okay?
No, I don't want to go first. I want to go with you.
You're the first and then we can.
Thank you.
What kind of trees, may I ask, what kind of trees are we planting?
That's a good question. I'm going to be planting cedars. Okay? Because in this height, very few varieties can accept the weather there. And we had a choice about planting the different trees, the 40 and then the 10 and 10 and 10, or do what they call a monoculture, one tree. And we decided that one tree would be nicer, especially for us, where all the cedars are rotary club farms. Okay? Thank you.
Thank you, Vice President Philippe. Ladies, thank you once again. Just to inform you that President Ronnie will give you now the certificate of appreciation of Ms. Sarah Chalabi. So maybe when you see her, you can give it to her.
Thank you again.
L'équipe.
She's not Sarah.
I'll put on the picture.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So thank you very much once again. And about our upcoming event, so we have next week Her Majesty's Ambassador, Dr. Ian Collard, who will be talking about UK's help to the Army and the Lebanese community in education, development, and post-4th August blast. So it is next week, November 10, same time, same place. Thank you very much. By Zoom, of course. It will be, it will be a webinar. So it will be same time, but not same place. So it will be a webinar, and we are looking forward to seeing you all through Zoom next week. Thank you very much. Good night. As for finally, we need to say happy birthday to our own Rotarian and friend Ramzi Abu Samah, who celebrated his birthday yesterday. Would like to wish also Grace Abirz happy birthday. It is today, and Zareh Abadjan, who will be celebrating his birthday on November 5.
Je vais ajouter la naissance de ma petite fille il y a une demi-heure.
Oh, congratulations! Congratulations to past President Joe. He's a grandfather.
Pour la troisième fois.
For the third time. Congratulations, past President Joe.
Philippe, c'est le lecture.
Philippe, 12 fois, ça fait 12. 13.
Chaque réunion,
Thank you.
Thank you.